All right, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, welcome back. We are here yet again today to talk about a new topic. And that's a topic I've kind of mentioned here and there and all around the corner. And that is the topic of how games have kind of changed. So, this was a thought I recently had. We've gone over it a little bit in other aspects, and I'll kind of rope those in here too. But it's kind of just how over time games have changed. And what do I mean? Obviously, games have changed in terms of graphics. They've improved in graphics. Gameplay, gameplay has gotten more in depth, not necessarily better, but more in depth, and it's definitely evolved. AI has evolved, gaming has evolved. People are more into it. The culture has gotten better. You know, back in the day, I remember you used to be made fun of for playing video games. Now it's cool. Now it's seen as somewhat normal, which comes with its own issues. So what I'm talking about are how games are being played and basically how games draw people in and how much they're played and for what reason. I remember back in the day, I used to play games. I used to get on a lot of the games back then when I was a kid, at least. I feel kind of old now, but when I was a kid, games used to be very single player oriented. It used to be about a good story, great gameplay in the story, and you could do co-op, so there was a multiplayer aspect there. The online wasn't too big, slash, I was poor and I didn't have Wi-Fi, or wired connection, rather. Wi-Fi wasn't really anything big back then, but, that's what it was. Nowadays, there's also this middle point. So after the internet came around and exploded, connections became more secure, more available, and I wasn't as poor, what ended up happening was multiplayer kind of exploded. I'm thinking early Xbox 360 sort of days, PlayStation 3 era. Games still didn't get to the point where they are today. Games were more, okay, you hop on, you have fun. There are things there for you to do in terms of long-term goals. I'm thinking specifically back to Call of Duty 1, or Black Ops 1, excuse me, where, you try to get 15th Prestige, and then on 15th Prestige, there was an animated calling card, which back then was almost unheard of. And it took a lot of grinding, what the fuck were they called? I was going to call them V-Bucks for a second, but they're not V-Bucks. COD points. You had to spend like a lot of COD points to get it. It was expensive. It wasn't overtly expensive. It didn't take too long, but you got it. And then, when you had it, you still played because the game was fun. Nowadays, I feel it's different. So there was that middle point there. When I was a child, more single player focused, more story focused. When I was, a little older, I would say teenager, young adult, I would say it was more multiplayer focused and things were still fun. Basically, what games have become now is almost like a job. So, games are still fun, don't get me wrong, I still do enjoy games. Most of the time, sometimes I feel like it's just a slog, and I actually feel like I have an obligation to them. Now, games have basically become almost like an obligation and a full-time job to play them. This has to do with a lot of different ideas, one of the main big ones being fear of missing out. Granted, this doesn't apply to most games, I'm kind of getting into my own personal biases here, but hey, the channel's about me, we're going to talk about some stuff related to me. So, for instance, Genshin, right? I was thinking of this recently with Genshin. I took a break from Genshin and I missed a lot of characters. Obviously, at the time I didn't know it, but once I got back into Genshin, which I'm currently in now, I feel like, damn, I really miss these characters. And then it makes me think, okay, when they come back out, I want to get them. Who knows when that's going to be? And then more new characters are going to come out that I'm going to want. And then it's this idea of, okay, now I have to play Genshin every day. Genshin is a game I have to play, and, I use the word have to loosely. You don't have to do anything. But when you really want to do something, you say you have to. And I really want to play Genshin every day now to get these characters. Even though Genshin is a whole other mess because it's kind of easy. And you're just collecting them just to have them, not because they really provide any advantage, because a lot of things in that game can get you through the game. But anyway, I've mentioned that in another video. Basically, at this point in time, I thought, damn, I'm really going to have to get on Genshin every day, do the dailies, and do other stuff to be efficient enough to get the characters I want, because I don't want to spend money. So, aside from that, other games are like this. League of Legends is like this. And again, this is all under the assumption of things you want to do, but things you almost feel locked into doing if you're like me and you want to have your enjoyment in games in a certain way. If you want to maximize what you're doing, right? Because obviously, you play Genshin, I mean, unless you're one of the few people, which I think is a dying breed, which They're the same people who back in the day bought the COD games only for the single player. They bought it for the story. Nowadays, we know COD's all about the fucking multiplayer. The single player's there, yeah, it's good. I mean, look, they're remastering all the fucking COD games that had good, great single player, like Modern Warfare series. They're remastering that, which had really, really good storytelling. But nowadays, it's mostly about the multiplayer. A game will survive and thrive based on if it's free to play and multiplayer. However, it's not only that, they will survive if they make it your full time job almost to play it, if they get you consistently coming back. Back in the day, it used to be I didn't have to play a game, I didn't have to log on to every day and grind something. I wanted to do it. I didn't feel obligated to do it because I would miss out on something or something I had to do, but the main driving point was me being good at the game or me having fun playing the game even if I wasn't good. Those were the two biggest driving factors. Nowadays, it's always tied to some sort of loot system or some sort of limited time event. This might just be a problem with me, but I think it goes past me. Again, this is kind of where my shut-inness kind of betrays me here. I'm gonna assume it's with other people, but I have no real stats or figures to back that up, and I don't know how to find them. So, regardless, let's just assume this is true. This is kind of what I feel gaming has become, and it feels kind of weird, right? Because I still like playing games, but I feel obligated to play them, and if I don't play them, I feel like I'm missing out on getting what I want, which again might be different from some people, but I think there's a lot of collectionists out there. I mean, again, the main reason people play Genshin is for the fucking characters. For League, the events, you could get skins, you could get rewards. It's not just about playing the game and having fun with the game anymore. It's always tied to getting something more out of it. And I've been guilty of this, you know? For the League, for League events, I only play when there's a pass, when I'm getting more than just playing. Because that's what I've been incentivized to do now. It feels wrong for me to play League, especially because it's League, you know, I hate it. But taking that out from the equation, I don't hate it, I do like it, but, you know, it's very filthy. It gets into the point of, I need to spend time on other games. So I was thinking about getting into Honkai Star Rail, right? Honkai Star Rail, for those of you who don't know, is a game also by the creators of Genshin Impact, Hoyoverse, or as I know them, Mihoyo. So Hoyoverse basically makes Honkai Third Impact, right, which I believe is another gacha. They make Genshin, which is a gacha, and then they make Honkai Star Rail, which is a gacha. Now the problem is, and you know, League of Legends, you know, has the passes, which I play. Overwatch is now getting a battle pass, which is going to make things incentivized. Multiverses has a battle pass. Fortnite has a battle pass. Things are now structured to where these games require, right? If you want to complete the battle pass, which if you're buying it, I'm assuming you want to complete it, right? If you're doing these things and you're playing these games, you want to maximize your thing, it leads to now you being able to play less games, because if you're in the adult world like me and you have work, and you fucking hate it, then your time is limited, right? If you're working full-time at least, which I am. Your time is limited, so at this point, right, when things like Genshin are a daily thing, the dailies will be out every day. They will give me rewards every day, which I want to get characters. Unless I quit Genshin and then miss out, and then if I ever join back, I'm going to feel bad. You know, I have to play Genshin every day. Let's say I want to try out Honkai Star Rail, which I kind of do. I then thought, okay, fuck, this might be an issue. This might be an issue because now I have to get on Genshin, do my dailies on Genshin, see if there's a League Pass, grind that out, grind the Fortnite pass out, grind the Overwatch pass out, then do probably dailies on Honkai Star Rail if it's also another gacha and it's going to have dailies. And I'm thinking, okay, at this point, unless I quit these games, if I get on, I'm going to feel bad. I'm not mentally at the place, or maybe I care too much, because again, fear of missing out is a huge issue, at least with me now, where if I get on these games and I see these things, I'm going to want them, and then I'm going to try and maximize my time. So at that point, if I get on and I'm not playing efficiently, I'm not trying to complete a pass or get whatever rewards are there, partly because of fear of missing out, then, you know, I kind of just don't want to play the game, because playing it, I'm constantly going to be reminded, hey, here's this really cool thing you can't have, and I play games personally to try and get these cool things. So, basically, I've noticed this change. You know, if anyone is even watching this video, you can tell me in the comments if you've noticed it as well. You know, this is pretty much with multiplayer games. I don't see it in single player. However, I feel like, you know, why has this occurred, right? This has occurred because there's been a shift in culture and in goals for games. At first, and this is kind of where I'm gonna rope in the parts I've talked about before, and this is kind of how gaming is kind of ruined now. Um, Culture has changed around it, and the goals for games have changed. Before, obviously, at all points in time, games were meant to be something that made a profit. No one's going to argue that, right? Back in the day, games were supposed to, make a profit, but I feel like the gaming industry back then was more pure, right? Look at things like Gears of War, Halo, right? These games exploded in popularity. They were console defining. I bet you the creators at that time, when things were, objectively not as much resourced and not as much funded and backed, especially just in the culture too, but economically as well, these things caused games to fucking explode in popularity. They probably didn't even know it was gonna sell and be as big as it was, but it was. And look what happened. They spawned franchises, console-defining franchises that are still somewhat alive today. Even though, Halo Infinite's dying and I've heard Gears is getting bad. But again, that could be another video of, why do games get worse over time. Although I can still explain that here. This topic I'm going to bring up does have to do with that as well. And it's purely the fact that over time things have shifted, right? Back in the day, they didn't think games were going to be, as big as they were. Their goal was to make a fun game without all these stupid little battle passes and everything else, right? Their goal was to make, okay, fun game, great gameplay, great story as well, right? Over time, though, I feel like things just in general have got greedier, right? Aside from the real world, because the real world is just fucked right now. I think it's on fire. But in games, too, things have gotten greedier. Now it's not about making the most best fun game you can and then leaving it, not adding DLC. DLC back in the day was cool. Now I don't think we really get DLC, we get updates. And this is the kind of scary part. People have realized, okay, let's not make them pay for it, let's make it free and let's sell cosmetics. What do you really think at this day and age makes more money? Cosmetics or DLC? I can guarantee you it's probably cosmetics. Again, I'm not going to look up the stats for this, but I mean, just look at Fortnite, right? Look at the examples of the highest grossing games, which I believe is Fortnite. Like, these things make their money not off DLCs. Fortnite doesn't have DLC. It just has cosmetics. Halo Infinite, free, content. We're going to make their money off of cosmetics, but they kind of forgot that they needed to make their game finished. So, aside from those things, right? In general, you could see the trend. Games got more business. They got more incentivized to make money. Instead of trying to make a great game, they made a game that was okay, or in some cases not even finished, because they became greedier and wanted more money. It's basically become a thing of games have improved, right? Not only games, but the game-making process and the understanding of the human mind and the sort of psychology of gaming. It's improved, right? But it's not improved in a great way, and this is the scary part. It has improved because people know more. We now know what makes us, want to play games. The battle passes and stuff, fear of missing out. These things are taken into account now when playing games. They will try now, game developers will try now to squeeze every little bit, every little ounce of things that they know they can put in to want us coming back, but not enough for us to be satisfied. They will always want us coming back for more. What is it called? The Rundle, I think? The subscription-based model that you keep renewing. I believe it's called The Rundle by Alex Galloway. And this thing is basically a customer or a person who subscribes to something and keeps coming back for more is infinitely more profitable than a person who just buys something once and then forgets about it, or that's basically the end of its cost benefit. So games have become like this now. Fortnite keeps, releasing new things. They're all free, and they get you to buy cosmetics, which, no lie to Fortnite, the cosmetics are fucking great. But I was the type of person who never thought I would buy anything in League or anything in Fortnite because I could either just earn it for free or I don't want it. What a fucking fool I was. Now, games try their hardest to peer into the psychology of how bad are they allowed, or how many things do they not have to do to make the game okay, but to also put in stuff that will make us want to buy shit. I mean, look at Blizzard, right? Blizzard, if you watch Asmongold already with World of Warcraft, like, they milk the shit out of that for money. They love money in that game more than anything, more than fixing a lot of the major problems. And I think it's just become a problem in general for the industry. Now, I don't want this to go too long, but in general, my point basically is things have gotten greedier, and it's been a culture shift of making good games to making more profit. The thing that I think ruins the gaming industry the most is just business and greed, right? Games became more business. Now, instead of making a great game where you have autonomy, you have to listen to shareholders and you have to please them by putting in things you might not necessarily want if you're a developer to make more money. Obviously, there are exceptions to this. I think, ironically enough, even though I mentioned Fortnite is one of the exceptions where, yeah, they try and make your money, but they don't try and nickel and dime you. I think that's the next step that gaming has to get to, or hopefully will get to. And it's something Fortnite has proved, but not other games. No other games have really followed suit, which maybe it's a matter of time or maybe it won't happen. I hope it happens, but maybe it won't. And it's the fact that like they need to realize they need to make a good game, and then people will want to buy stuff from it, right? Fortnite does this perfectly. Fortnite does not nickel and dime you. I feel like other games definitely nickel and dime you. Destiny, where to do anything you have to pay. Fortnite gives you everything. They provide free updates. They put so much free stuff in it. And then they make the most money. And look, they literally saved the Epic Launcher, where the Epic Launcher can now give us a free game, or sometimes 2 free games every fucking week. I have a whole library of, probably over 100 games at this point that are not straight ass from the Epic Store because they can afford it because of their whole model with Fortnite. Other games need to realize you can't nickel and dime your player base. Actually make a good game, and then people will want to buy the cosmetics. They'll sell like hotcakes. I feel like that's the next step that hopefully we get to. Right now we're in the step where, at first the first step was make great games, make a little bit of a profit. It's fine, we want to make great games. Obviously the profit is there, we want to make it, but the priority was the game. Then it became the priority to multiplayer, which was a subset, right? Let's prioritize multiplayer. Okay, cool. Now more people are into it. Multiplayer fans stay for longer. They buy DLCs, right? That's when DLCs became prevalent. DLCs were there for single player, but, I'm pretty sure they weren't as popular. The next step after that was, okay, let's introduce battle passes and let's make playing games almost like a job. And now we're at the point where, okay, let's not even finish the game because these games, because of the culture and changing ways of society, has become so profitable that we can release a pile of garbage, and as long as it's not on fire, as long as it's not a flaming pile of garbage, it will sell enough to where we can make a quick buck and then just move on to the next project and do the same thing. Hopefully the next step is, okay, let's realize we can make a lot more money by creating an actual good game, supporting it, making it up to par and up to standard or even beyond, and then people will want to just buy more because it's a great game they can get invested in. Hopefully that's where we're headed. I don't think it is, but again, the other exception to this is indie games because they have more autonomy. Then again, maybe with the changing economy, maybe things that are outside of the gaming world that unfortunately do influence it, maybe those are involved more now than ever because of the state of society and the world. Maybe it might be a transitory period, who knows? But I think overall that we're kind of in the dark dimension of right now. We're just waiting for us to get to the next step of people hopefully realizing don't nickel and dime us and create good games. I feel like just recently we're in an era of either games are boring because they copy the same gameplay format, Assassin's Creed, or like they're just uninspired and they're just there to obviously make a quick buck. And we've had a dozen other games like them before, and again, it's just obvious it's for a cash grab. But overall, I hope, I introduced some interesting ideas in this video. Tell me if you agree, disagree, have any thoughts of your own. And please, if you have any topics you want me to talk about or go over or think critically about, tell me in the comments. Anyway, I hope anyone who watched this enjoyed it, and that will be it for now.